Coming up on Cronkite News, a bipartisan effort is in the works that, if passed, would expand coverage for people who got diseases from nuclear testing more than 60 years ago.
Plus, there's a chance that Arizona schools could lose important funding. It's all up to state lawmakers to override a spending cap.
And later, what do mental health and ocean conservation have in common? A show traveling the world aims to connect the two.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Faith Abercrombie.
And I'm Nick Shesky. Thank you for joining us.
In the mid-20th century, the American West was used as a testing site for nuclear weapons. The impact of those tests is still being felt by thousands of people who live downwind of the test sites. Raven Payne tells us about a new effort to help more people exposed to the toxic winds before time runs out.
As the wind blows in Kingman, Arizona, Eddie Patillo is reminded of what traveled with it in the 1950s and what it has cost him.
Serious cancer.
The United States conducted close to 200 nuclear weapons tests from 1945 to 1962. Patillo grew up in Kingman, and the shadow of those tests hung over him throughout his childhood.
I was a lifeguard at Catherine Landing in Bullhead City, and there were a bunch of government people who had Geiger counters and things that came in with swimming after the test went off.
This playground at Palo Christi Elementary School, now closed, is where the late Sharon Patillo said she saw the mushroom cloud from across the hill, over 150 miles away. The kids thought the blast was exciting, but there's so much more to it than that. Those clouds carried radioactive material hundreds of miles to the neighborhoods of Patillo and thousands of others. They're part of the downwinders, people who experienced ill health because they were exposed to the fallout from Nevada nuclear tests.
In 1990, Congress established RECA in order to allow people that lived in the area some compensation.
Currently, residents in 5 Arizona counties are covered by the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, or RECA, but parts of Mojave County, the part that includes Kingman, was left out for reasons Representative Paul Gosar says was not intentional.
That it was an administrative error, and we've tried to correct it every which way but loose.
The Downwinders Parity Act was introduced in late 2021 to fix this error and expand compensation to all of Mojave County, Arizona, and Clark County, Nevada. According to Representative Greg Stanton, this bill is about more than money.
It's about the United States government acknowledging that they did wrong to these families and saying to these families, we see you, we understand the pain that you're going through, we care about you, and we want to make sure that you receive justice.
For Kim Patillo, she just wants help for the dad she loves.
He's just in a lot of pain. I mean, we spent, was it last Sunday, in the ER for 6 hours because he had huge amount of pain.
Eddie Patillo is currently battling colon cancer. He's also survived bladder cancer, both types covered under RECA. But because Patillo lives in Kingman, he has to pay for treatment on his own. According to his family, so far, they've paid $12,000 out of their pockets.
You know, what to do when he goes away, and that's just not a conversation you'd like to have.
But Patillo isn't dwelling on his illness.
This is a Joshua.
He still finds time for projects around the house.
But I never let the disability of the illnesses slow me down much, I don't think. Except I have to use a cane now.
He's still living his life with the wind at his back. In Kingman, Raven Payne, Cronkite News.
The deadline to file for compensation is coming up this summer, so there is time pressure to pass the Downwinders Parity Act. It has bipartisan support, and if it does pass, it's highly likely that Patillo's medical condition will be covered.
Inflation in the U.S. has risen 7.5% within the last year. It's the highest surge reported since 1982. The latest Consumer Price Index survey reports that upticks in food, electricity, and shelter led to the increase. Food and energy prices also led to an inflation increase here in the Valley. The CPI for all urban consumers reported a 1.7% increase in Phoenix prices at the end of 2021. The region's food prices increased by 5.4%, and energy prices saw a 40% surge. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics says higher gasoline prices are likely to blame. More Phoenix inflation data is set to be released in early March. It looks like less people are filing for unemployment benefits. Jobless claims last week fell for the third week in a row. The Labor Department reported 223,000 jobless claims last week. That number is down by 16,000 from the week before that. The monthly average number of claims also dropped. This all comes after the 4-week average of people applying for unemployment increased for 5 weeks in a row as the Omicron variant continued to spread. Despite this, the Labor Department reported 467,000 new jobs last month.
An anti-transgender bill banning transition procedures for minors died in committee yesterday. The Senate Health and Human Services Committee came to a split vote on the bill. The legislation would have banned doctors from providing transition services to transgender youth. The bill also would have banned public funds from going to healthcare providers offering transition services. It would have also allowed insurance companies to deny coverage of procedures for transgender youth. The dead legislation comes as House members announce a bipartisan LGBTQ anti-discrimination bill, which would ban discrimination by businesses, landlords, and employers based on sexual orientation or gender identity. It would also ban healthcare professionals from practicing conversion therapy.
Coming up after the break, local schools may have to cut budgets by more than $1 billion. We'll talk about what to expect in classrooms if lawmakers don't override the school spending cap in time.
The chance to help Jeff Bezos with his space mission efforts may finally be yours. We'll tell you the kinds of jobs the Amazon founder's space company is looking to fill in downtown Phoenix.
Your favorite member benefit is getting better and bigger.
This is wonderful.
Over the next year, Passport is adding new shows and doubling the number of episodes for you to stream.
They give us all that they've got.
From your favorite cooking and travel series.
Even the stairs are breathtaking.
To history specials and award-winning documentaries. Better and bigger.
That really is the fun part.
Stream on any device with Passport on the PBS Video app.
Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communications Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Arizona public schools could be in jeopardy of $1.1 billion in cuts. That's if the Arizona state legislature does not override an educational spending cap. Cronkite News reporter John Brown takes a look at how the looming spending cap will affect schools.
Arizona public schools are facing a ticking time bomb that could potentially worry Arizona educators. Arizona public schools will potentially have another battle in sight soon, and it's not COVID-19, but rather the state legislature.
Public school districts in every county will face enormous and devastating budget cuts if you fail to defuse the ticking time bomb that will force them to close.
Arizona Superintendent of Public Instruction Kathy Hoffman is referring to the March 1st deadline for the legislature to override the spending cap. She says schools cannot maintain operation without action from the legislature and calls inaction not an option. And although Hoffman is worried, State Representative John Kavanaugh has an optimistic look that legislators will override the cap.
It has to be done by March 1st. I'm pretty confident it will be done by March 1st.
But what if it's not? Many Arizonans are asking that question. We talked to Vice President Marisol Garcia at the Arizona Education Association about the what-ifs.
So the money just goes and gets put back into a savings account. It cannot be spent. And so what that means immediately is that educators could lose their jobs starting April 1st.
Advocates like the Arizona Education Association are concerned that sports, after-school activities, and theater could be drastically impacted by these budget cuts. Schools could lose 16% of funding across the board if impacted by the cuts.
This is not a distant impact, this is a direct impact. But I think even more importantly, it just adds the level of anxiety that is happening in schools as it is.
Lawmakers must override the cap by a 2/3 majority in the very few legislative days left until March 1st.
How does helping Jeff Bezos on his space venture sound? Bezos' spaceflight company Blue Origin is looking to employ Phoenix residents. Blue Origin wants to hire nearly 200 people from the region to staff its new office in downtown Phoenix. The company is looking to fill positions in avionics, software engineering, data sciences, navigation and control, and many more. Blue Origin is also set to expand its offices into the Denver area. For more information on how you can get involved, you can visit blueorigin.com/careers. Things are warming up here in the Valley, but don't put away that jacket just yet. Madison Thomas has what's in store for our weather heading into next week.
Looking at the weather for the rest of the evening, we do have nice temperatures. At 6 p.m. we'll be at 76 degrees, and then by 10 p.m. we don't dip down too low. We'll be at a nice 64 degrees. Now, looking at the high temperatures across Arizona for tomorrow, in northeast Arizona and Window Rock, we'll be at 59 degrees, along with in Flagstaff. But heading down to Yuma, we will have a high of 86 degrees. The rest of the state will see highs between 70 and 80 degrees. Now, taking a look at the weather for tomorrow, if you're heading to the Phoenix Open, this is for you. We'll start off our day with 52 degrees at 7 a.m., but by 3 p.m., we'll be at 79 degrees. So maybe take a light sweater or a jacket to begin the day, but you won't need it very long. Now, looking at the weather heading into this weekend, perfect Super Bowl Sunday weather. This weather is perfect for everyone's barbecue, and that nice weather carries over into Valentine's Day. We'll be at 81 degrees for both days. We do dip down about 20 degrees on Wednesday with a high of 60 degrees, but by Friday, things start to warm up and we have a high of 70. From the Cronkite Weather Center, I'm Madison Thomas.
How about a Cronkite Sports Report for your Thursday evening? I'm Andrew Curlin. Coming up after the break, the Super Bowl is this weekend, and even though the Cardinals aren't in it, there's still a connection to Arizona in the big game. Stick around, we'll have that story for you next.
Watch Prime Afternoons every weekday on Arizona PBS. Did you miss a show in the evening? Then catch up on Prime Afternoons, your favorite dramas.
No more bloody heroics.
Antiques Roadshow.
Really?
Nature and Nova.
It's time to reintroduce some wonder into this miracle of nature.
All of the best from PBS on Prime Afternoons. Weekdays starting at 1:30, only on Arizona PBS.
Every day I wake up, my first thought is, how can I serve this community?
The biggest hurdle was not taking PTSD personally.
Would you welcome, please, the amazing.
Everybody that watches this, they say that I am the greatest that they've ever seen.
Here we go, lights up. Whoa.
As artists, we conduct our educations in public. You can never know whether it's going to be a success. One just has to risk it.
It's you and the work and the place. It's a very particular relationship.
Here's our lens. Tell us what you think.
Friday night at 9 on Arizona PBS.
Welcome back to Cronkite News. I'm Andrew Curlin, and this is your Cronkite Sports Report. Golfers teed it up for the first day of the WM Phoenix Open today at TPC Scottsdale. Last year, the tournament restricted attendance to just 5,000 fans per day due to COVID. This year, it was back to full capacity. And the crowds did not disappoint. Fans poured in bright and early, with many heading straight to that famous 16th hole. The enclosed grandstand seat 20,000, and there's usually a line to get in. The People's Open is packed once again with enthusiastic golf fans.
And like nothing compares to this, right? I mean, you have hundreds of thousands of people out here enjoying themselves. The weather's awesome. It's great. Like, it's not just a golf event, it's a social event.
Super Bowl 56 is just a couple of days away in Los Angeles. Cronkite News reporter Gareth Kwok explains how a former Chandler High School quarterback and now LA Rams QB went from a career-threatening injury to potentially becoming a Super Bowl champ.
Bryce Perkins is one win away from accomplishing something that every NFL player dreams of winning, a Super Bowl title. The former Chandler High signal caller is also on the verge of becoming the first Super Bowl winner in his NFL football family, featuring his father Bruce, Uncle Don, and older brother Paul.
None of us have made it to a Super Bowl, put it that way. And so for Bryce to make it early in his career with the journey that he's been on, we're super proud.
Perkins' path has crossed Arizona State, Arizona Western College, and the University of Virginia, but his journey all started at Chandler High, where he led the Wolves to their first state title in over 60 years.
Just did some amazing things. He was the first to really, be the pioneer to kind of lead that way and lead Chandler, into the culture that we really have, today.
Perkins' success has also seen some setbacks. At an ASU practice, he fractured 2 of his vertebrae, threatening to end his career. Doctors recommended surgery, but Perkins chose to let it heal on its own, a decision that paid off for the QB.
We went through that process of 6 months, going through the rehab and going back out to LA, flying back and forth every month to get check-ins. And then his will and determination to get healthy and to believe in himself that he's going to play football one day.
Now in his second season with the NFC champion Los Angeles Rams, Perkins, at just 25 years old, is headed to the game's biggest stage.
For him to experience it, like my dad was saying, that, in the second year in the NFL, some guys go their whole career without going to the Super Bowl, and he's able to go so early. So it's really going to be a blessing and really going to be a teaching lesson for him later on.
3 colleges and a severe neck injury later, Perkins is primed to represent his home state this weekend.
Anytime you get to watch former players, live out their dreams, whether it be in college or whether it be in, in the NFL, it's just exciting to watch and all pulling form, and it's just a neat experience, and it's a neat experience for us too.
An experience that could become super on Sunday. In Phoenix, Gareth Kwok, Cronkite News.
ASU's men's basketball travels to Seattle tonight to take on the Washington Huskies. The Sun Devils are looking to bounce back after a disappointing loss to number 4 ranked Arizona on Monday. This is ASU's first game against an unranked team since that heartbreaking loss against Stanford on January 22nd. During that 15-day span, the Sun Devils played 5 games and went 1-4. It was the longest streak of consecutive games against a ranked opponent by a Pac-12 team in 20 years. A local amateur fighter is making his professional MMA debut this weekend.
Antoine Ho finished his amateur career with 7 wins and 0 losses. A big reason for his success at this point in his young career is his willingness to train with the best at MMA Lab in Phoenix.
It takes a lot of consistency, and it takes a lot of resilience, like not being able to be afraid to fail. When you first start, like you're gonna fail a lot. You're gonna fall, you're gonna go through risks and trials, and it's about failing and learning why you fail and overcoming that.
Ho is currently the #1 ranked amateur flyweight in the Southwest region and is looking forward to putting his skill set to the test. After years of training to get him to this level, he cannot wait any longer to make his professional MMA debut in the LFA.
I'm really excited because I've been training since I was 14, and one of my goals was to become a professional fighter by the end of last year. That was my goal, but since COVID hit, like everything just kind of slowed down and I didn't have that opportunity. So throughout this whole year, my goal was just to turn pro and to start fighting.
Antoine Ho will finally get his chance to show the world what he's got Friday night. In Phoenix, Parker Dunn, Cronkite News.
Finally, the Suns made 2 moves right before today's NBA trade deadline. They traded Jalen Smith to Indiana in exchange for forward Torrey Craig. Now, they also acquired Aaron Holiday from the Wizards for cash. Both Craig and Holiday will add some much-needed depth to the Suns' injury-plagued bench. Well, Nick, that's all I have on today's Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you.
Coming up, a traveling show aims to combine mental health efforts with ocean conservation to provide an educational, auditory experience. We take a deep dive into what this show is all about, as well as where you can find the next showing next.
For time, watch Prime Afternoons every weekday on Arizona PBS. Did you miss a show in the evening? Then catch up on Prime Afternoons, your favorite dramas.
No more bloody heroics.
Antiques Roadshow.
Really?
Nature and Nova.
It's time to reintroduce some wonder into this miracle of nature.
All of the best from PBS on Prime Afternoons. Weekdays starting at 1:30, only on Arizona PBS.
Every day I wake up, my first thought is, how can I serve this community?
The biggest hurdle was not taking PTSD personally.
Would you welcome, please, the amazing. Everybody that watches this, they say that I am the greatest that they've ever seen.
Here we go. Lights up. Whoa.
As artists, we conduct our educations in public. You can never know whether it's going to be a success. One just has to risk it.
It's you and the work and the place. It's a very particular relationship.
Here's our lens. Tell us what you think.
Friday night at 9 on Arizona PBS.
There are many mental health and ocean conservation advocates in the world, but rarely do we see both of those issues addressed in a single event. Reporter Karen Merrill-Keene takes us inside a traveling exhibit that hopes to improve the ocean and your peace of mind.
The sounds of the ocean fill the room with tranquility and joy as people lay around absorbing the ambience. By combining ocean sounds and art, Joshua Sam Miller, musician and co-creator of Sounds of the Ocean, says he's bringing awareness to ocean conservation.
The ocean is the lung of our planet, and it's the way that we are going to bring balance to the negative impact that, unfortunately, a lot of our industry and commerce has had from our work here on land.
Each year, billions of pounds of trash and debris enter the ocean through human activities and human errors. Just last year, around 126,000 gallons of oil spilled into the ocean after a pipeline ruptured off the California coast. Miller hopes that his work will inspire people to be more mindful of the ocean and find more inner peace in the present.
One of the things we know is that the more present we can be with our thoughts and our feelings, the more relaxed we can be. And oftentimes then that makes us feel a lot better.
Nowadays, caring for mental health matters more than ever. According to the American Psychology Association, in 2021, nearly 1/3 of adults said they were so stressed about the pandemic that they struggled making basic decisions, like what to wear or what to eat. Aaron Krasno is the Associate Vice President and Director of Arizona State University's Health and Counseling Services. He says that while these types of events are great to relax the mind, he also wants to remind everyone that,
like, all the people who benefited from an activity, they may have benefited in that moment, but if they don't put that into practice, it won't have a major change in their life. It'll just have felt good once.
Instead, Krasno suggests relaxing the mind a couple of times a week to reap the long-lasting benefits.
The research is clear, though. People who participate in these mindful activities, because that's really what it is, it's a mindfulness practice, have better outcomes for their mental health, for their physical health, for their relationships.
Reporting from Los Angeles, Karen Marroquin, Cronkite News.
Sounds of the Ocean is currently touring worldwide. Their next event will be held on February 11th in San Diego, California.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.